Hey YouTube, let's make a video on how to install some radiator grills on a 991. This is an S model, convertible of course that shouldn't matter. I bought these grills from Radiator Grill store. Here's the website if you want to check it out. I paid 94 bucks including shipping to get it to my door. I think they might have been free shipping, but anyway, that's what I paid. And so let's check it out. I've installed one so I could be experienced before I make this video. Here's what it looks like, and it kind of fits up in there pretty decent. Seems like it's a decent fit. Now they're made out of a aluminum, real lightweight aluminum, and here's what they look like before they get put in the car. And of course it's got a shape that's, got to go in a certain direction. For instance, the pointy corner on the right hand side of this goes toward the center of the car, and the more curved side on the left goes toward this side. Alright, first thing I did was watch the video at radiatorgrillstore.com, and they recommended tape this up to protect your paint, because what you're going to do is you're going to slide this guy through the grill, and you kind of got to bend it and push it, and you don't want to scratch anything up when you're pushing it through. But I wanted to correct a couple of details that just should be noted. On the passenger side of the car, there's a tab right here on this this cover piece. They go right here, okay? And these cover pieces need to be removed. That way you don't scratch them up. Plus, these little tie straps, they're going to go underneath those. So you do need to take these off. In order to get those off, you just kind of pull them off. But what you want to do is, if you're working on the passenger side, this little tab over here on the end, that needs to push toward the center of the car. See that? Push in. And then on the back, there's this flap. See in the center there, there's a bracket, and that needs to get pulled and released off of its catch. And then this is toward the other end, and it's got a catch that is also going to need to get pushed toward the center of the car in order to release. And when you're working on pulling this off, see, it's just a little sliver that goes over the top of this other grill. You want to pull from this outboard edge first. Pull from here like that, releasing those catches, and then it'll come off easier. That's the best way to do it. I went ahead, since I had some tape, I labeled the top one just so that I'd know which one goes where. They're actually different lengths slightly, so you can figure it out, but that just makes it a little simpler getting them back together. Now I use a little rag here to just kind of wipe down the dirt. It's going to get covered back up again, so that don't really matter, but hey, if we're going to do it, let's kind of be detailed while we go, right? No reason to be a hacker. And then once you get both of these guys off, here, I'll pull on that one. I've released the tabs already from the underside, and then I can just kind of pull here. And when you grab the back edge of this, like with my fingers back here, you want to grab just the top part of the little cover thing. If you grab too big of a grab, then what your hand's going to be doing is it's going to be behind this piece also that doesn't move, and you'll be pulling, and that ain't good, because the whole thing don't come out. Just the top kind of cover, the cover part there, as you can kind of see that. Just that comes out. All right, once both of those are off and you got some tape on here that's going to protect you when you put your other piece in, now's the perfect time to get in there and vacuum this thing out. So you can see in there, I've got a little leaf and some debris. I had some pebbles on the other side. And what I did is I just used my shop vac with a flat crevice tool end on it. And I got myself a paintbrush here. I don't know, that's about a 6 or 8 inch handle. And obviously this one's been used before, which made my bristles a little stiffer, and that felt like it was an advantage for me. But I just used this to get in there as a little broom, and I swept toward this side, this corner down here. Then with my crevice tool, I could get in there with my crevice tool and then and vacuum that stuff up. And in fact, my crevice tool didn't go in as deep as I'd like, so I just kind of used my hand down in this corner as a little fan, and I brushed it like that, and then it vacuumed it up. But anyway, clean all that out nice and careful. Careful you don't bend your radiator grill by rubbing too hard with your brush or whatever. But I found this this to be really helpful because I couldn't really get in all those cracks and crevices with the crevice tool because these things here kind of limited me. And so you're going to want to do that, vacuum that out nice and clean. And then the other key thing is when you're putting this guy in, so passenger side, you're going to go through this cavity, and the driver's side is the same respective, this cavity, as you go through there. And you want to be sure it's on the driver's side. That one's installed already, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that this little lip that's on the top here, that is facing up, and that this corner, the correct corner that's going to this edge needs to be pointed in first, right? So that the edge is up like this, and then you kind of bend it a little bit and push it in from that in this direction here. Because once you get inside that cavity, you'll be able to rotate down like that. You want the wire ties facing out so they can grab onto those little cross struts, and then you can set it into place. But you don't have room inside there to, rotate this around a bunch of directions. So you want it to be ready. So again, lip up and you're pointed in, go in that direction. And as you get it about halfway in, you need to stick your other hand in this side, the farther side of that, and be grabbing this end of the screen so that way it doesn't jam into your radiator that's in there, because it's going to want to do that. So I think on this side, it's going to be a similar process, but in this case, I'm going to want this left end to go in first, again with this bended top edge facing up, so that as it goes in like this, I'll then be able to rotate it and it'll be in place. Okay, that's just a detail that I had to kind of pull mine back out and reposition it because I had it different than that. And then you use those little cable ties to kind of, let's see, you kind of just going to go grab from the cable ties and use those to manipulate and position that where you want to. And then you'll be tie strapping them around these vanes. And then once you tie strap around those vanes, you'll want to rotate your end notch piece. You'll want to probably slide and rotate that inward up against the screen so that it gets out of the sight. And once that's installed, then your vanes go back in and they'll slide over the top of those thin little cable ties and hide them. So when you get all done, it's going to look like my driver's side that I've got completed here. And you can still see those ties, like see that? There's a cable tie going in. But just generally out from the front, you don't see them. They're not there. You don't see them. But if you're really looking around for them, you could potentially see them. But otherwise, you see around the edges here, the screen fits up in there nice and neat and tidy. And so it's a pretty clean install, I think, for the most part, except for those cable ties hanging out. Now, here's another thing. I've got the parking sensors, and I began to trim this screen thinking I needed to go around the outside edge of that because the screens don't come cut for that. But actually, if you look at this back edge, it's flush or flat to the back side. So the screen would actually slide up behind that, and it doesn't need any trimming at all, okay? I actually did trim mine, but thankfully I trimmed it small, so you can't even see that mine had been trimmed. And now that I've learned that lesson, I won't trim the other side. So if you have those, that's just one thing to note, because that's not in the install from the manufacturer. They don't mention those. But there you go. That's how you do that. Thanks for watching the video.